And my name is Erica Flores Baltodano, and I am the campus dean at San Luis Obispo College of Law. I want to welcome all of you for joining us tonight, whether you are affiliated with one of our in-person campuses or you are part of our hybrid program. I want to also especially welcome any newly admitted class of 2028 students, and if we have any alumni or faculty joining us tonight. So welcome to everybody. I initiated the Building Resilience in the Legal Profession, a speaker series at San Luis Obispo College of Law, because after more than 2 decades of practice in the nonprofit and employment law sector, of course, teaching law school and hiring, supervising, mentoring students and young attorneys, I've learned that the successful practice of law goes far beyond the skills that we learn in law school and the subject matter that's tested on the bar exam. An outstanding work ethic, an outstanding attitude, intellectual curiosity, of course, kindness and professionalism, and sheer grit go a long way. To truly thrive and survive a very noble, but what can be a very demanding legal career, one needs to build resilience, the ability to effectively face challenge, change, and complexity in a way that ultimately enhances rather than diminishes. So I just want to say that again, that building resilience or resilience is the ability to face challenge, change, and complexity in a way that enhances rather than diminishes us. So as students attending our evening law school program while juggling full-time jobs and other family obligations during the day, you are all already well on your way toward building resilience. Your grit, determination, your perseverance are some of the qualities that are going to set you apart from other law school graduates and make you especially marketable to employers. This speaker series, which is being offered online for the first time so students at all of our campuses can participate, is really designed to support your success and happiness in law school and the legal profession. Because let's face it, law school and legal practice are hard enough on their own. Any additional obstacles, whether it's family demands, deaths in the family, divorce, a medical diagnosis, financial or work stress, maybe you experience learning disabilities or you've been on academic probation at some point, making that transition from a non-legal career to a legal career, studying for the bar exam, taking the bar exam. Maybe you're the first in your family to obtain a professional degree, or you simply just don't fit the traditional mold of what society thinks of when they think of attorney. All of those challenges can feel insurmountable. But these obstacles, they might even cause you to question whether you even belong in this profession. And I'm here to assure you that you do belong. And I hope that this program will help you see that the challenges you face and the resilience that you build to face those challenges might ultimately be your superpower, right? That might be the thing that gives you the qualities that are going to really make you quite successful. So tonight we're going to hear from 4 law school alum who each faced what could have been insurmountable challenges during law school or during their first years of practice, but they all persevered. They are all successful practicing attorneys today in a profession where they absolutely belong, and we are happy that they are there. So without further ado, I'm going to briefly introduce each of our panelists, and then I have a few questions for all of them that they'll take turns answering. And if we have time, I'm not sure if we have time, we'll take a few more questions from the audience. So in no particular order, I'm going to begin with Kizzy Garcia. Kizzy graduated from SLO College of Law in 2021. She is a partner at Gamble and Garcia, Attorneys at Law, a Santa Maria-based law firm that handles criminal defense, family law, and personal injury cases. When I asked Kizzy to describe her law school experience in 3 words, she said it was challenging, rewarding, and exciting. Next, we have Nicole Mullikin. She graduated from San Luis Obispo College of Law in 2022. After law school, she established a solo immigration law practice in San Luis Obispo that is aptly titled The Law Office of Nicole G. Mullikin. She also does additional contract immigration work with the Law Office of Kevin G. Gregg. When I asked her to describe her law school experience, Nicole thought more about her approach to law school, and she said it required tenacity and a healthy dose of gratitude. Francis Heredia graduated from San Luis Obispo College of Law in 2023. She is a staff attorney at Seamus and Associates in San Luis Obispo with law offices throughout California. The firm focuses on administrative law. And Francis described her law school experience as challenging, overwhelming, and life-changing. And our fourth panelist tonight is David Ramsey, who graduated from Monterey College of Law in 2019. David is a staff attorney at Legal Services for Seniors, a legal nonprofit based in Monterey. David said his law school experience was empowering, engrossing, and also life-changing. So I just want to thank all of our panelists in advance for their willingness to be vulnerable tonight as they share their stories of perseverance and success. So I'm going to start with the first question, and I'm going to start with you, Kizzy. You are the daughter of immigrant parents from Mexico and the first in your family to graduate from college. I know this is something that you include on your bio at your law practice. You started as a legal secretary at the firm that you are now a named partner at. And so I just want you to just start off by just explaining a little bit about why you went to law school and what that experience was like, if you had any stories to tell regarding that bar exam, and of course your first years of practice, and please, highlight any moments or situations that were particularly challenging or that caused a little bit of struggle along the way.
So why law school? I chose law school because I was supported here at what used to be the William K. Gamble Law Firm for over 50 years. And my mentor, Miss William K. Gamble, really saw something in me. And one day, one of the staff attorneys here gave me a project to do. And when I turned it in, he saw, this is great. I'm going to put my name on it. So I was like, oh, okay. So, and then one day I was just driving home and I heard a commercial. San Luis Obispo College of Law was accepting applications. And it was like, it was meant to be. And the next thing you know it, there I was applying and getting accepted. And so, yes, law school is intense and rewarding. There was a large amount of work and commitment. I was working 40 hours a week at the law firm as a paralegal, and also office manager, and going to school, driving from Santa Maria to San Luis Obispo every day. I'm sure you guys can relate to this. Monday through Thursday, briefing and reading and briefing, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So, I definitely, that was something to get used to, but I enjoyed it. Law school exams, my first set of law school exams were rough. I really struggled, and Dina will know that. But what was great was that the law school had a mentoring program, and that mentoring program set me off on the right path, because after that program, I was fine. So if anybody needs assistance, please make sure to look at those mentoring programs, because they're very valuable. And taking the bar exam was extremely difficult for me and stressful. It was during COVID, and it was online, and I'm not really good at taking stuff online. That was something new that I had to get acclimated to. I didn't pass on the first try. And it was really rough because I was several, like 8 points away. And so it was like a double-edged sword. It was like, yeah, I'm really close, so I'm almost there, but it was like, oh, I have to do this all over again. And it was really, uh, it really messed with my mind. I want to say something else, but it messed with my mind. So, I got a second read, and so I was able to see the different scores that the bar examiners gave me, and so that was rough. But finally, when it was offered in person, I was able to pass, and I know being in person, I just felt the energy, and that to me uh, just made me really motivated. So. Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kizzy. I'm going to now turn to Nicole. After you graduated from law school, Nicole, and you passed the bar exam, you did something that takes a whole lot of courage. As a baby attorney, you opened your own law firm. That's something that attorneys with many years of practice don't necessarily always have the courage to do. So can you tell us about your experience, if there's anything from law school that you want to share, but certainly some of the challenges associated with becoming a solo practitioner right after graduating?
Yeah. So like Kizzy, I went to San Luis Obispo College of Law and went to law school during the pandemic, and all of that. Law school was its own set of craziness. But uh, throughout law school, I was interning for an immigration attorney and fell in love with that area of law. And as much as I pushed, I um, couldn't. There's no positions around here for immigration attorneys to add on to other firms. There's like 3 other immigration attorneys in this county, and they all purposefully have solo practices because they're raising their families and don't want to expand. And so the only way that I could stay in this area of law and stay in this area of SLO County would be to open my own practice. And um, it was definitely terrifying. But I think if you're not scared of doing something like that, you're not thinking about it seriously enough. Um, I the first year is almost like another year of law school, from the learning curve, not just with business, but um, with the area of law, and then also expenses, I guess, because you're not going to make a lot of money when you first open a practice. You'll be in the negative for a while. Um, but yeah, I had a really, or still have a really good mentor, um, Kevin Gregg and Pastor Robolson. He is always there if I have questions about the law and about um, building a business and like everything. And just the local community has been so welcoming as well. Um, but yeah, owning your own business, you have to figure out how to do everything. And um, depending on how much money you want to spend, you may have to figure out how to do even more. So, like, I made my own website and figured out how to read rental contracts and negotiate with my landlord, and um, like, okay, I'm looking around, like, what type of scanning thing do I need for this type of it? Like everything. Um, and so I'd be happy to talk with any of you individually. If you ever get to that point of opening your own practice, I've done that for other students who've opened their own practice. And yeah, but I'm very glad I did it. It's um, worth it in terms of work-life balance. If I don't want to go into work one day and I don't have appointments, I don't have to. um, or I can just build it around my life instead of trying to build my life around work, and that is really nice. And I really love this area of law.
Thank you, Nicole. We'll stop there because I want you were starting to touch on some of the ways that you have kind of persevered through all of this, like with mentors and what have you. So we're going to circle back to that in a moment. Right now, I want to turn to Francis. Francis has been, pretty forthright about receiving a major medical diagnosis right in the middle of law school. And so, Francis, would you share a little bit about what your law school experience was like and in the face of what could have been a major setback for you?
Absolutely. So I have always wanted to go to law school. And when you finally get that moment to make that jump, you're just like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm finally going to do it. And then COVID happened. So we're like, we were the COVID class. So we did one semester and then went online. The school was fantastic about switching online. So that was great. And then the first day of my second year of law school, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. So I was going from that momentum of nothing's going to stop me to, wow, this might actually stop me. Um, so it was often, this is kind of where the overwhelming description word comes from. It was overwhelming to kind of decide what do I do? And I I reached out to Dina and I told her, look, I have cancer. I don't know what's gonna happen. But I feel like I can do this. I can fight cancer and I can go to law school at the same time. So she was incredibly supportive. The school was incredibly supportive. The I ended up having during law school, during my entire second year of court of class, I had 15 rounds of chemotherapy, I had 3 surgeries, and 25 rounds of radiation my second year of law school. The teachers and professors were fantastic because they allowed me to stay off camera because, I mean, I was clearly going through a lot. I was losing my hair and I was everything. So that was the benefit. The camaraderie between the class, even though we were already in COVID and you're losing that in-person interaction that you get every day. It just kind of pulled together. We have a really tight-knit group, and it's just it's it's definitely not what I did. A lot of people ask me when they hear it, why did you continue going? And that's something my doctor even said. That's probably the only advice I didn't take from my oncologist. He told me not to go to school and that I was going to be really taxed and really tired. And he was right, but I still was. And it was just something at that point. It was the only thing I can control because I couldn't control what was going to happen around me. I couldn't control how tests was going to come back. If it ever came back to a point, and this is kind of what I thought, but if it ever came back to a point where, things wouldn't have worked out in my favor, I, I at least would have said I didn't regret it. I think had if I withdrew, I felt I would have regretted it. There were definitely days where couldn't do it. Did I lose guys? Okay. There are definitely days where I felt where I couldn't do it. I would cry to my husband and tell him, I can't do this, I can't do this. And he told me, and then he told me, go back to the room, go back and study. So, and he was incredibly supportive. I am so happy that I did it. It was never, law school was going to be a story always, but I never expected it to be this one. So honestly, I'm so happy that I did, and I tell them I'm mentors and friends for life, and it's definitely unique, but anything's possible. So
Thank you so much, Francis, for sharing that story. And I'll just make note that I heard another mention of mentors. So we are definitely going to come back to that. And then we're going to go to David. David, you could have given up each time that you took the bar exam and didn't pass, but you didn't. You passed on your third try, and you are now contributing to our community in a very meaningful way, in a way that is very near and dear to my heart because you are working in legal services at a legal nonprofit. So can you please tell us about your law school and probably most importantly, your bar exam journey, although I'm sure there's some correlation there, and the struggles along the way?
Thank you. first, I want to commend everybody for undertaking law school, whether you're a 1L or in your fourth year. It good for you. You're doing the right thing. I loved law school. It was a great experience for me. It was a huge challenge. I was working. I worked 4 nights a week, and then I went to school 3 or 4 nights a week. Um, but I had my schedule set up so I could study all day before class, read and brief, and then go to school. I It was all in person, uh, and I loved it. I loved being with my classmates. We still keep in touch. Um, so it was for sure a challenge, but it was a great experience. Um, with the bar exam, yeah, I did. I took it 3 times. The first time I took it, and I did everything I was supposed to do to get ready, and I I didn't pass. And then the second time I took it right away, and uh, like Kizzy, I think I was within like 10 points of passing, and you'll hear that frequently where people are very close. And the first time that I didn't pass, I thought, well, that's okay because a lot of people don't pass the first time, and I sort of doubled down my efforts and my studying, and then I was unsuccessful the second time, and I didn't know I didn't know what was going on and what to do. And right after, so the second time I took it was February 2020. And so right after we took the bar exam, I mean, like I got home, I tried to go to work a couple days later, and they had to put on everything shut down. So the third time I took it, it was delayed. It was not in July, so I studied. I had to prepare as if I was going to take it in July, but then it got delayed and delayed, and they didn't know when they were going to have it. And eventually we took it online, and I was successful. Um, but the yeah, and so law school is hard. At the time, it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Uh, the bar exam is just a bizarre experience because it's very subjective, believe it or not. Uh, in terms of the essay grading, I also got a second read on my essays the second time I took it, and one person reads it and it's a 75. The next person reads it and it's a 65. That's like the definition of subjective. So uh, So the law school, hard, challenging. Good for you for doing it. The bar exam will change your world. Uh, you will get through it, and once you're through it, you'll realize how silly it is, and that you never have to take it again, and you just have to do it the one time. Uh, in terms of currently practice, I think the people I went to law school with who I'm envious of are the people who are working in law firms and in legal capacity while they were going to law school. I thought I wanted to work at the DA's office. I interned there and found out I don't want to work there actually. And so uh, when I got out of law school and I did finally pass the bar, it's taken me a while. I've tried a few different positions to figure out what I want to do, and I'm real happy with what I'm doing now. Uh, I don't make a lot of money, which is kind of why I became an attorney, but I'm happy, and that's just you can't. Can you put a number on that? Sure, but I'd rather be doing what I'm doing now than working at the DA's office for sure. So
Thank you, David.
And I could keep talking if you don't cut me off. So go ahead. Cut me off.
I appreciate that. That's really great to get us started and get a sense of but a bit about what your journey was about. Okay, the next question I'm going to pose, I'm going to start with Nicole on this one. And I'm going to ask you to please describe how you addressed or worked through and ultimately persevered through the challenges that you had, building that law practice right from the get-go on your own. Anything that you could explain that, where did you turn to for support, internally and externally, right? Did you have mentors? Did you seek professional support? Did you at some point need to course correct, realize this is not the right direction, I need to go a different direction? So that's just the general idea of this question. If you want to get us started, Nicole, with how you persevered, what helped?
Yeah, well, I think it helps knowing that the work that I'm doing is really helping people, that I'm really impacting people's lives and their ability to stay with their families or be able to work, etc. And so that keeps me going. And it's important to not get too happy or too sad about the ups and the downs, because there's always going to be something, whether it's good or bad. And you kind of just have to take it as it comes. And I think I've gotten better at that over time. One area in particular that I feel like I'm always still working on is some of the cases that I work on are like family-based, so people applying for other family members, but others are humanitarian, and like every story still gets me about what they've gone through, whether it's like victims of crimes or other types of cases. And I think I'm getting better at it. I remember early on, one of the first special immigrant juvenile cases that I had, I was reading through a declaration about it and just started bawling before they walked in and had to like pull it all together. But I'm getting better. And so I think especially like in this area of law, it's important to have a good support network of other attorneys that you can reach out to, because everyone's going through the same types of things. And if you're running your own practice, like being able to talk to other solo attorneys who have gone through similar things, and when you're trying to make business decisions, okay, do I take these types of cases? Do I limit, etc.? It's good to get that insight from other people as well. And then I also rely on my family a lot. My husband is amazing, and without him, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm very lucky that he helped to support me through law school, to where I was able to graduate without debt. And I wouldn't have opened my office without that like other source of income in case this didn't work out. And so that has been a huge blessing.
Nicole, can I ask you, you mentioned reaching out to other attorneys for the substantive law assistance and guidance, but also for the solo practice business side of a law practice. Have you ever reached out to anyone who was unwilling to help? I mean, I think we need to just demystify this idea of asking for help, because the worst thing that could happen is someone just doesn't respond to your email. But has anyone ever been rude to you when you've asked for guidance?
No, I can't think so. I mean, this is a very welcoming area of law. Unlike other areas of law, all immigration attorneys, we're not working against each other like other areas of law. And so I think that really helps. And there's a really supportive community. And plus, San Luis Obispo is amazing. And so everyone here in this legal community is so supportive. I don't think I have
Well, that's good. And that's what I want. That's what I want everyone to hear, is to not be afraid to reach out to colleagues, because generally they're going to be wanting to help, and be honored that you even considered asking them. So thank you, Nicole. Let us now hear from Francis. And if you could describe, what helped you internally, externally to persevere and get through. You mentioned professors and mentors, and what else would you like to share with us?
For me personally, I worked a job before, actually during law school, and it was really demanding. It was a sales job, and it's basically one of those jobs where, one where you have too many meetings a day that could really be emails, and then also ones that were, it was just weird to take lunches, and you kind of like that corporate kind of world that you would expect. But so I think the biggest thing is learning, for one, learning to ask for help, and it's okay, and it doesn't make you weaker to ask for help. I really needed people at that point. And honestly, I can say that I learned so much grace people have. Just really in the time of need. I mean, it was during COVID. Everybody was really scared. I was really scared, but I I was shown so much grace by everyone, and even just random people. So I think that was my biggest learning lesson. One is to learn to ask for help, learn to say, and when you can't do something, it doesn't mean that days where I was too sick to go to class, I would get mad. I would get really mad because I always felt like, okay, it won. I'm defeated. But there's times you really just have to. And that actually even helped me during when I was studying for the bar exam, because I would study from morning till night, and I would come to a point where I would be taking just caucus MVPs, and some days I'd be really great, and then some days I'd be really terrible. And it was because I was so tired, and I overworked my brain. And there's times where you're gonna have to step back and say it's not gonna happen today. And I would go, I would get rest, I would take care of myself. The next day I would go, and it would be great. So I think that was one thing, is learning to listen to yourself. Um, Also, the one thing is I think it's the serenity prayer they say, like in AA. I've never been to AA, but the words had always stuck with me, where it says, give me the serenity to change the things that I can't, or, serenity to understand the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I told myself that so many times because I couldn't change my circumstances. I had to do it. I had to do the surgery. But I could only change on how I reacted to things. I can only change how I choose to spend my time. And I think that I apply that today, especially as a lawyer, especially when you have billable hours. You really have to respect your time and understand and learn how to prioritize things. And mentorship is incredible. I've had Erica, which is an assignment, Baltodano was a great mentor to me. She really opened my eyes to what is possible out there too. I had actually taken her class, and I didn't share with a lot of people what I was going through, so she was really surprised that when I had taken her class, I was actually going through radiation, because I was very quiet about it at one point. But I can say, yeah, ask for help. Yeah, absolutely ask for help. Yeah, lean on people, and understand what you can't change, and humility is key. Humility, be willing to learn.
Yeah, ask for help, take breaks when you need to, when you realize that your body is telling you this is, this information is not going to sink in. And then of course, mentors are also important. Okay, and so now we will turn to David. I think folks on this call are probably going to be really interested in understanding, what made the difference that third time around. Because I often think of the bar exam as like a huge percentage of it is just psychological. And so that first time you don't know what to expect, but then you go back the second time and you already know what to expect. So that helps. But what helped you to persevere, to actually pass it, but then also just to mentally get through it? And sorry, that's the alarm from the last one. Go ahead, David.
It's a good question. And I don't have a simple answer. In my opinion, the second time that I took the bar exam, I thought my essays were much better. I was really surprised I didn't pass. The third time I took the bar exam, and we all agreed we would be honest here. So the third time I took the bar exam, I performed at least I performed well. I did everything I was supposed to do to get ready. Uh, I was here. I wasn't actually here. I studied in here, but I had to go take it in the house because right next to me there's a chicken coop, and the chickens get really loud at certain times of the day. So, and you can't have that during the bar. Like they will disqualify you. It was the first time you'd done online, so like they would disqualify you if you turned your head like that. Uh, and I'm not exactly sure of the numbers from that third attempt, but there were I think it was 9,000 people took the exam. 6,000 people got Chapter 6 notices, which means a disqualification. So if 6,000 of the 9,000 people take the exam, that means the curve just went crazy because they all got a 0, which makes my sort of average score a winner. So the bar, like I said before, the bar exam is crazy. I mean, there's things that you can't account for, like the curve. If there was one thing I would have done more of during law school, it would be more MBE questions. Because for me, when people ask me what do you need to do, you got to kill it on the MBEs. Yeah. It's just absolutely. I mean that if you've got your essays are 50% and your MBEs are 50%, if you get 100% of your MBEs correct, then you can get a 50 on your essay. I'm exaggerating to make my point, right? I'm an attorney, okay? Because nobody gets 100% on their MBEs. But if you get a strong MBE score, it really takes the pressure off of the essays. I'm not saying don't practice essays. Duh, practice essays, right? But you learned that. That's what MCL taught you to do. So when you get to the bar exam, just do what MCL taught you to do, which is IRAC and just ace those MBEs.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
That's really helpful, David. I think that the law school has really done a lot of work in the last few years to really structure a really robust bar prep program. It's built into our curriculum in many ways. And we know what works. We know we can see the students that do what is recommended, which does involve a whole lot of MBE questions and a whole lot of essays, and really stays on target for what is recommended for the time frame of studying. They do quite well the first time around. So, and I think, I think having that foundation is helpful because there is so much that is unpredictable and somewhat subjective, with the grading. So I think your experience is very helpful and valuable for students to hear. Okay, and then our last person on this question is Kizzy. Kizzy, can you, that silly timer. Kizzy, can you share with us, what kind of kept you going? How did you get through the tough moments? Bar exam also, did you come up against situations with family where they just maybe quite didn't understand what you were going through just because you were a trailblazer in your family? I remember during law school having to literally tell close family and friends, when I was studying for the bar exam, you're not going to hear from me for 3 months. Don't take offense, but I am not doing anything but studying for this exam for the next 3 months. And that, that might be really challenging for some families to hear. What was your experience like?
I was really lucky. My family was really supportive. I have an adult son, so he didn't need too much from me. And I have great parents that lived in San Luis. I live in the 5 cities. So, and I had my baby dog at that time. She's passed away now, but they would take care of her, and they would be there at the parking lot at 10 o'clock at night so we could go home. So I was very fortunate. However, I did have a boy. I do have a boy. I did have a boyfriend. We broke up during law school because I just wasn't able. I just told him, I go, this is it. I'm putting law school first. And so you can either come with me or without me. And I just felt like I needed to kind of take some time for myself. So actually, that that was something that was difficult. It was, but unfortunately, I was really focused that it it wasn't. I had so much to fill up my time that I probably didn't feel it as much as if I was not completely busy 24/7. I think that what's important for everybody also, if I can share this, is to make sure that you take time to exercise for mental and physical health. Even if it's for like how Francis was talking about working for several hours. I used to do that too. And what was helpful for me is taking my dog for a walk around the block, every hour or so, just to kind of breathe and let your mind rest. Because I feel that that's really important. And I asked for help. I did. I asked upperclassmen, and they were really helpful. They were always willing to, talk to me and share an outline or go over things. And other attorneys too. They shared their stories. One attorney told me that they still have nightmares about having to take the bar again. So, and so yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kizzy, and thank all of you. This is just, I think, really, really valuable information. I appreciate all of you being willing to share. And finally, what I'd like you to do at this point is just to reflect on how your struggle has really helped to build your resilience. So how has that resiliency that you developed through, persevering over those challenges helped you or informed you or made you a better or a stronger attorney? How did it prepare you for practice or working with clients or facing other challenges? Uh, I'm a mom. I have 2 kids, and I have one kid that can easily get thrown off course, right? And he did a really brave thing and traveled over the summer with a bunch of students and had some difficult things that they had to figure out. And ever since that trip, he feels like he can do anything, right? Because he always feels like, well, it's not going to be as bad as that, sleeping in the airport in Miami when they missed their flight. So, how has whatever challenge you experienced help you moving forward, and maybe even enhanced you as a professional? So we'll start with this question. We'll start with you, Francis.
I think in a couple ways. I think Nicole said it great when she said your first year of practice is kind of like your first year of law school. And that's exactly where I felt it's that humility, that willingness to learn, willingness to ask questions. But I think out of everything, I learned that I worked so hard for this. This is, but this is only a part of my life. I couldn't have done this without my husband, who is a huge part of my life. And it just really helped me prioritize. And it's so easy, especially in the profession, to get caught up in work and get caught up in working 10+ hours or forgetting to take lunch or because especially when you have some long days, when you go to work and then you go to law school at night, I understand you're just going, going, going. But I think it's all, yeah, it's learning to prioritize exactly like, as Kizzy said, to take care of your health too. It's so important. I remember before all of this happened, somebody told me if you don't choose to take care of your health, you'll be forced to take care of your health. And it's 100% true. So yeah, that's definitely lean on everyone, lean on your colleagues, your upperclassmen. Again, they were fantastic. Nicole was a year ahead of me, and she was she was fantastic at explaining things. So definitely rely on other topics too.
Thank you, Francis. I want to take a moment to remind all of our current students that Monterey College of Law students and all of our students at all of our campuses and our hybrid students have access to mental health services through the law school. So, sometimes these obstacles and challenges do get too big to handle alone. And if you are in a situation where you don't have a spouse or someone that you feel like you can turn to, and sometimes the struggles are at home, right? And you need to talk to someone professionally. We do have those resources available. Francis, were you done? I think you were done.
Oh no, but I do want to say that is actually something I did actually take up at one point,
Okay.
and I'm so glad I did.
Oh, good. I didn't even know that. Perfect. Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
overwhelming, and it was the best thing. It helped me feel normal that I wasn't alone going through what I was going through.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that is great. We will turn to David. David, can you tell us how, persevering through those bar exams and kind of taking a little bit of a winding road to find the right job that's just right for you. How has that benefited you in the end?
Life is just full of challenges, and it just in my little brain, I had it figured as well. I'll graduate from law school, and then everything's going to be easy. And then, then you still got to pass the bar exam, and then once you get through that, lawyers deal with some really difficult stuff, and like any business, uh, it's a lot of it depending on what you're doing, but it's volume and it's billable hours, and it's you don't get to just have one big case and work on one big case. I've got probably 30 cases right now, and Nicole mentioned the no the trauma associated dealing with people who have been traumatized. Few people go to seek legal counsel because everything's going great. They only come to you when they are desperados. I mean, so I counsel self-care. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others, if you want to think of it that way. And sure, ask for help. Try finding what works for you. And I love MCL. I can't say enough great things about it. Uh, Outlining didn't work for me. I couldn't do it, so I outlined on flashcards. So yeah, I was outlining, but I did it on flashcards, and I never told anybody because I didn't want to get in trouble, right? So I was. And then the other thing that worked great for me that I would not have guessed was working in a study group with other people. I always thought that never had to do that before. Worked great. And so through all of that, through working with other people at law school, finding what works for me, struggling to make it through the bar exam, figuring out what kind of practice I'm going to do, you're always learning. And so just be open to that constant learning, and you got to want to do it. And for me, I was kind of a desperate man. There was no going back to retail management. So there was only one way, and that's forward. And the only way to do that is to learn and keep trying. and take feedback. I'll stop talking now.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That growth mindset is so important. In this profession, you're constantly faced with situations that you haven't seen before, but you have to feel confident in the foundation that you have and the tools that you have, and your ability to figure it out, and to ask for help when you need help. All really, really helpful to hear. Nicole, why don't you close things out for us in terms of, how has the process of building this practice helped? In what ways has it sort of enhanced you as opposed to diminish you?
So before that, just real quick, before I forget, I'm happy to share any of my outlines or class notes or anything with any of you. So feel free to reach out if you ever need that. Anyway, so each thing that I've gone through, then when I see it again, it's like, oh, I already have experience with this. And so it lowers the stress level, and it just makes everything like, okay, I can handle this because I've done this before. And there's still things that I haven't done yet, or new things that I'm working through or trying to figure out. But having that basis makes it easier, because then I can say, okay, well, I've done something similar, or I know I've got through this thing, so then I can get through this thing. So it just yeah, it gives a good basis for moving forward. That's a very generalized answer, but
No, that's good. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. And I'm looking at the clock. I don't know if anyone is rushing off to class tonight, but are there any questions for our panelists before I close up this session? Any questions? I don't see anything in the chat box. Anybody have any closing thoughts? No. Do any of our panelists have any last words that they want to share? Okay. I want to thank our panelists for opening up about their experiences. Law school is not easy for anybody. And just, sometimes that one roadblock can throw you off course. But what I'm hearing is that figuring out a way to get over it or around it or plow right through it is the process of building resilience, right? Getting through that in some way that has said, wow, that was hard, but I made it through. That's what resilience is. And that's really going to be very helpful when you start practicing, when you go, you begin your careers. I want to thank Dean Dowsett for helping set up tonight, and thank all of you for sharing your insight, your experience, and just one of our participants, Amanda, just added to the chat, thank you for being so candid. And I think we all feel that and appreciate your time tonight. And thank you everyone for attending. I do plan on doing another Building Resilience program that will be open to all campuses in fall semester. So you can look forward to that. Thank you all and have a great night.